What's good, ladies and gentlemen? Uncoated Sugar TV, hosted by Trent Lamar.
AV Show. It's a podcast Thursday.
Sports analysis, rap, hip-hop, current events. Let's get it. So,
Where to start?
I was like, hey, we might as well jump right into some NBA. If that's all right.
NBA playoffs.
Are underway.
It's been an entertaining NBA playoffs thus far. A lot of upsets going on. It's been the first time, I believe, in NBA history that the road team has won every game in round two for the first game.
Okay.
Knicks won on the road. Nuggets won on the road.
Yes, sir.
Warriors won on the road.
Yes, sir.
Pacers won on the road. We're a few games in now, obviously, since the last time we talked. Nuggets were playing the Clippers. Now they're playing the Thunder.
Yup. And they won that first game, lost that second game.
They won. They stole game one, and then they got eviscerated in game two.
Got absolutely annihilated in game two.
You're being a Nuggets fan, being Nuggets as your main team, even though you're wearing a Spurs hat.
I was about to say, with the Spurs hat on.
Where are you at?
In honor of Greg Popovich.
Greg Popovich.
Retirement.
Who is
not really retirement, actually moving on.
Retired, who is the principal.
We're going to get back to that later, though. Let's get back on topic.
He is, yeah.
Let's get back on topic.
So the
Nuggets.
Nuggets.
Touch Greg Pop later on.
The Nuggets
got annihilated game two.
Absolutely eviscerated by the Thunder last night.
Let's go ahead and get into some of these stats. What I wanted to touch on, I actually wanted to touch on game one because I saw both games, but unfortunately, I wasn't even paying attention game two. I was like scrolling through my phone.
It was over after like the first quarter.
It was like, yeah. What I noticed about game one, a critical part of, I believe, why they won game one was having Brown, Jokic, Murray, Westbrook, and AG on the floor at the same time. I think those five were a critical point of why we got that game one victory. So I just want to go ahead and shout out, obviously, to those who watched the game, saw AG hit that three-pointer to seal the win at the last second. But I believe that the Thunder actually had control over most of the game, which is ironic because, obviously the Nuggets won. But AG really, really played well that first game. AG in 39 minutes had 22 points. I feel like AG is going to be the X factor in this series. Let me go ahead and go over some stats real quick. AG, 22 points, 39 minutes. Nikola Jokic, 42 minutes, 15 for 29 from the field, 10 for 13 from free throw, 22 rebounds, 6 assists, 42 points. Jamal Murray, 44 minutes, 6 of 16 from the field, 2 of 7 from three-point range, 7 of 8 from free throw, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 21 points. I do believe that in order for us to win this series, Jamal Murray has to show up. And that 6 of 16 from the field, he was post-game criticized by somebody.
It's 1-1 right now.
Yeah.
The series is coming to Denver. They're playing tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Do you believe, in your heart of hearts, do you really think the Nuggets can win? At some point, they're going to have to win 2 in a row.
Why would you say? I agree, but not necessarily.
Do you believe that the Nuggets can actually win 2 in a row against the 67-win?
I believe the
Thunder
Nuggets
team?
can definitely win 2 in a row. But it's going to be really, really, they really got to play. You know what I mean? Based on what I saw.
After
what I saw last night, I still have faith the Nuggets can win. I don't want to immediately just jump on the OKC bandwagon right now.
Right.
I want to have faith. So I'm going to say I think the Nuggets can win, but it's not looking good. I'm going to be honest.
So let's just say you have to put your money on it. What are you choosing?
If
$1,000 is just free, but like you have to make.
I'm gonna go Nuggets in 7.
Okay, why?
Because I gotta have faith. Yes.
Are you saying that just because you're a
team.
Nuggets fan?
I'm just saying that. I'm saying that because I still think the Nuggets can win. Because I believe Jamal Murray can still have one of those crazy.
You believe
performances.
You believe they can, but
I believe the Nuggets can win.
Realistically, in reality,
I'm not gonna say nothing that makes the future what I don't want it to be. So I'm gonna say the Nuggets W.
Okay.
You playing devil's advocate right now, which I actually like.
We got to be real. Like we're Nuggets.
Look,
we're pulling for the Nuggets. Obviously,
I'm pulling for the Nuggets.
We've been pulling for the Nuggets for years now.
I'm pulling for the Nuggets to take this W.
Before Jokic was even a Nugget, we were pulling for the Nuggets.
Right.
The Thunder are a 67-win team.
What the Nuggets end up with
They are
this season? Do you know?
52.
Not bad.
The odds makers had the series in the beginning at like the Thunder are basically like minus 500 odds to win. So you have to, if you bet to win $100, you have to bet $500. Basically saying the Thunder
I'm not betting.
Right, exactly. And to me, that seemed disrespectful. Seeing we do have the best player, the Nuggets do have the best player, and a seasoned championship-winning team, championship-winning core.
Right.
So the Thunder are good. We know that they're a great regular season team, but we have Jokic, an all-time Hall of Fame, first ballot Hall of Fame, top 20 player to ever play basketball ever.
Well, is SGA gonna end up a top 20 player to ever play basketball ever?
No.
Why do you say that?
I'm gonna say that because first, I'm gonna say that. Well, really, I don't know. Nobody ever thought Jokic was gonna turn out to be him.
That's an interesting opinion.
So I don't know. I really don't know.
I'm gonna go SGA does end up being in that top 25 plus conversation if he stays healthy.
Of all
time. If he stays healthy.
Interesting.
Reason why I say that.
What makes you go there?
Based on what I've seen so far, based on the hype, he needs to maintain his health. If he maintains his health, I see him having a great career. But it's going to be determined on whether he stays healthy. I'm not denying his talent anymore as a player. I think that's solidified. And based on what I saw last night, he's here to stay if he continues to play at that level. Okay. Now, he's entering into his prime. He can still get better. I'm not even saying this is the peak of his powers. He's still young. It seems to me like he's still improving. His IQ is getting higher. And the more experience he has, he's going to get used to these big moments. Let's remember that the Nuggets are an NBA championship team. 2023, right?
Yeah.
NBA champs. So it's not like he's playing scrubs. No, it's not the exact roster it was. Yes, we've had coach changes, whatever. But the NBA still has its best player in Nikola Jokic, and it still has some of its core in Aaron Gordon and Jamal Murray, as well as a few others, respectively. And so, based on what I'm seeing him do against a team that is championship caliber or was in the last 2-3 years, if he plays at this level, there's no way he can't be at least a generational talent, and there's no way he can't be a superstar in this league for years to come. He definitely can become that. But once again, we done seen the Grant Hills. We done seen the Derrick Roses. We done seen a lot of the guys who got there and something happened. Brandon Roy, I'll put him in that list. T-Mac.
Here's the thing. I think you remove SGA from the Thunder, and they're still like an 8th seed. I think you take Jokic away from the Nuggets.
Buzzing is going on right now.
Yeah, I hear that.
I cut it off recently just for some of that fuzziness to go away, but it was just like the couple things you said, so we should still be good. Excuse that last thing. And yeah, but we should still be good.
So, real quick, we're 2 games in.
Yes, sir.
Call your shot, Nuggets Thunder, Game 3 in Denver tomorrow night.
It's in Denver?
Call your shot for tomorrow's game and call your shot for the series.
My shot tomorrow's game, I see the Nuggets going down 2-1. I see the Nuggets going down 2-1.
So the Thunder are going to win, is what you're saying.
I'm going to go Denver wins, but it's within 10 points.
Okay.
So Denver goes up 2-1 is my guess. But it's going to be it will be a close game. And it's going to suck to edit this, but let's move on. I was hoping that fuzziness was going to go away. But we only probably missed 10 seconds. Who knows? We should be all right.
I'll get my original, just so I get my prediction.
Mm-hmm.
I was originally saying, it's not recorded anywhere, but I did somewhere say Nuggets in 6
Okay. For this series.
for the series. After seeing last night, I'm just gonna stick with my prediction. I'm gonna stick with it. Probably gonna be wrong. I don't know if I see the Nuggets winning 2 in a row at some point against this great regular season Thunder team. Especially after they got blown out by 40, which was just, I don't know how you get blown out by 40 and really come back from that. But I'm going to still say Nuggets in 6, but I'm going to say Thunder win tomorrow.
Okay, interesting. I wanted to give SGA stats game 1. He had 33 points. Caruso, respectively, also had 20 points. And game 2, we already saw the result. Final score 149-106. Nuggets got the behind handed to him on that one. Russ had 19, 1 rebound, 5 assists. Jokic had 17 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. SGA ended with 34 points, 4 rebounds, 8 assists. Chet Holmgren also had 15 points, 11 rebounds, and 2 assists. So,
real quick, did game 1, was that an aberration or was that a real win for the Nuggets?
I'm going to go it was a real
You know
win.
what? You know what it almost reminded me of?
What did it remind you of?
I don't know if you recall this, but maybe 8 years ago-ish when the Bulls faced the Cavs round 1 and D Rose hit this winner. And they were massive underdogs.
Okay.
And he hit this game 1 winner and everyone was like, "Oh, the Bulls are going to."
Right.
But he kind of walked off. He was just like,
reason.
"Oh, it's just game 1."
Right. And what happened?
The Cavs ended up winning 4 in a row, but
Right.
is that what's going to happen here?
Wait, no, you mean 4 in a row. So it was
But
4-1 series.
it kind of reminded me that was that Nuggets game 1 just caught the Thunder off guard?
That might be the case. I'm going to say no. I see the Nuggets definitely winning one more game at least. So
Yeah, I'm going to say no too, and the reason I'm only saying that is because
this is going 6 games. It's definitely going at least 6 games.
I'm saying we have Jokic,
Best player in the league,
is the best player in the league.
in my opinion.
Very arguably a top 15 player to ever play basketball in the history
sir.
in the history of this planet.
Yes, sir.
In his prime.
He's in his prime, which I still think he can get better. He can get better, but once again, Jokic is killing it. So now, did that? I gotta go here. Did that last game prove SGA is the MVP over Jokic?
Well, I think this year he is the MVP, and my take on this is Jokic has not earned 4 MVP status yet. His 4th MVP is going to be the hardest MVP to ever earn.
Okay.
Because I think we went over this, Kareem is 4 MVP, LeBron's a 4 MVP.
Yeah, we went over this.
Jordan's a 4 MVP, I believe.
Nah, Jordan's 5.
Well, 4, to be in the 4 MVP club or more.
Okay, 4 or more.
You have to be all these 4 MVP guys have multiple championships.
Yep.
And that took them a lot of time to get there.
Yes, sir.
Jokic is an all-time great.
He is.
Is he a 4-time MVP great? That is
According to all these triple doubles, the answer would be yes. According to all these triple doubles. Here's the thing about it. Jokic, I see him repeating this level of play next year. So if he stays healthy, he's in the MVP conversation next year. If he stays healthy. Now SGA might drop off. Giannis, guys that were kind of in the midst, they might drop. And even if they do get great, Jokic is still so great with all those triple doubles. Right. He's still going to be in the conversation.
He's always going to be great. But he's
in the conversation at least the next 2-3 years.
Is he in this conversation?
The 4+ club? Yes.
Will Chamberlain, LeBron James, Bill Russell, Michael Jordan.
He is.
Is he in that category?
Let me tell you why he's in that category.
You think he's in a top 5 all-time player type of...
You see, you can't do that to me.
I'm doing it to you. Here I am doing it to you.
You can't do that to me. You see, according to stats, Jokic,
I don't want to hear the stats. What is going on? What is that? I don't want to hear all the stats.
Jokic's stats are insane.
I don't want to hear.
But as we keep on,
what does the eye test tell you?
The eye test tells me Jokic is one of the best to ever lace him up. That's what the eye test tells me. And I'm gonna repeat these stats. He was 3rd in points, 29.6.
All these stats.
He was 3rd in rebounds and almost 13, 12.7, and he was 2nd in assists. That is 3 categories, 3 of the most major categories. He wasn't below 3 in any of those categories. Let's not mention he had almost a 60, he had a 57, almost 58 field goal percentage, which is top 10. That is insane.
And the steals, I think, was like number 2 in the league.
That is absolutely insane. And a lot of the guys you named have not had a stat line like that. And I ain't even got to pull up the stats. That's an insane stat line. Because the rebounds and the assists being over 10, that's what really seals the deal. That's a difficult thing to do. So, based on stats, he is in the game. Now, once again, here's the thing about it. It's the longevity argument. He only has 1 ring. He has 3 MVPs.
Right.
Based on talent, he's in that category. Based on talent and based on the eye test, he does have skill close to that caliber. But we can't put him there yet because he has not had the championship success that those guys have had.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing in my mind.
Yeah. So.
Which is my next point, that Denver has to get it together if they want to keep Jokic, number 1. And they have to build the team kind of around his needs because he is the leader. And so they need to make that work. I want to bring this up. And there's a lot of individuals in sports, individuals, I'm not going to say no names, who are saying, I think Stephen A. said, a few folks said this, somebody said this.
Can we, a little bit of a side tangent. Finish your sentiment, and then I want to switch it.
Jokic has been extremely more vocal, or if that even makes sense, than what he's ever been. He's on the bench yelling and screaming, and I'm like, he's being like a coach now.
Yes.
Whereas he used to just drop 30 and just zip his lips.
Yes.
He just, no emotion, he just be on the bench. You know what I mean? Now he's screaming, he moving, and I'm going to tell you something, Jokic, I like that right there.
Right.
And you want to know why I like it? Because you are one of the best players in the league. And you should be vocal because, number 1, you just lost your coach, right? And number 2, you are their leader, and you are definitely hands down the premier player on that squad. So the premier players kind of need to take a leadership role, respectively. So,
yeah. So, I'm going to agree. I'm going to agree with you. We're definitely seeing – it's almost like Jokic – like Malone rubbed off on Jokic, and like he's starting to act like Malone almost when he's yelling on the bench. And he's in this demonstrative force. He's showing a demonstrative force.
Right.
But you said a name that I wanted to kind of switch gears on a little bit.
Okay.
You mentioned Stephen A.
I did.
Who has been on a roll lately, in my opinion. From what I've seen, he's making. Not take away the sports analysis side. Mm-hmm. He's making appearances on like TV. Like he's acting now. He's acting now. He was on General Hospital.
Oh yeah, he's been in a few places. Like,
and you know where else I saw him?
Where?
I saw him on TV on Channel 2.
I saw him on TV. Go ahead.
Talking.
You're not gonna roast
talking on with I think it was some political guys. But
so
he was talking to Trump on TV.
He's been in.
He's getting into politics now.
He's been in Rumble. He's been in I Think I Love My Wife. This is what I'm reading. But go ahead. Yeah, so he's diversifying his portfolio.
Right. He's been making his rounds and he's been everywhere.
Yes.
There was even a mention that like.
Not to mention he has his own podcast and all that, right?
So
wait for this.
I think like Trump was like, "Oh, Stephen A., why don't you run for president or something?"
He had said that. Yeah.
Something like that. But
heard about that.
Anyway.
I kind of want to lead out of basketball now and kind of get back to basketball.
So we could weave back into basketball, but I don't know. I just wanted to mention that Stephen A. thing because that's been on my mind.
Right. Now it's been on mine too.
So like, how would you feel like Stephen A. transitioning into more like a political role, like maybe even like running for like a mayor or something like that or a president?
I don't see him.
Do you see that happening?
Being a president? Nah.
You don't see him being a president?
Nah.
You don't.
A large part of that has to do with the controversy. But once again, we said this about, respectively, President Trump, respectively. You know what I mean?
That's right.
He was on The Apprentice.
He was just a guy on
doing
TV.
Things. Right now, he's, in the Oval Office. So once again, this has been stated by other individuals. I see Stephen A. doing some things politically if he wants to.
Yeah.
He has the name. Folks know who he is. So if he wanted to do that, he can. I don't. Once again, I'm not saying he doesn't have the talent for it. I'm just more or less saying that a lot of his, the skeleton issues are going to come up, right? So like when you get that stance, it's like we want to find as much dirt as we want to find. Yeah. We, not me, the world, meaning we, right? You know what I mean? So that's one thing. But that's everybody. right? So that's no diss to Stephen A.
Yeah.
It's just more or less.
Yeah, like
you got to take that role for real.
Stephen A. and all these guys, like going back into NBA talk, like.
Speaking of Stephen A., there's a name I want to address.
Is this like a Perkins or something?
You know who I want to address? Shannon Sharp, right?
Shannon Sharp. Oh.
Do we want to go in there?
I don't want to go. I don't want to go into that.
Let's leave
honestly.
that alone.
I don't really want to get into that kind of talk.
Yeah, me too.
I don't really want to talk about stuff like that.
Yeah. So let's get back to what we were saying. I want to kind of deviate from the NBA right now. Though.
Let's deviate from NBA.
I want to bring
any final thoughts on NBA? Obviously,
we're gonna get back to the stats.
We made our Nuggets prediction. We had some NBA talk.
I want to get back to the NYK and Boston and all that later on, but I kind of want to, this is the 30-minute. No, this is the 21-minute.
We'll put a bookmark on that.
We'll get back. This is 21 minutes in. Just to keep in mind all the time. So here we go. I want to get to that Pope. Let's issue
talk
right
to
now.
Pope.
Obviously,
it's an issue. I thought it was a solution.
Obviously, the former Pope passed away.
I was about to say I thought it was a solution, not an issue.
The former Pope passed away.
Whatever his name was.
I want to try to.
So,
which I didn't even hear about until probably 2 days later.
What are your thoughts on the Pope? Did you like the Pope?
I'm not sure politically what my stance on that is, but let's get to this. Pope Francis, the humble reformer who sought to make the Catholic Church more inclusive, died on Easter Monday at the age of 88. What are you saying now about? What are you saying now?
Right, I don't know if anyway, keep going.
I wanted to. We have to mention that. Because the new thing is that the new Pope is the first American Pope in history. That's what the news is, beyond, respectively, Pope Francis' death. So, I had to mention Pope Francis. Now I don't want to speak too much on that, but respectively, I don't really know a lot about, what went on. I just heard about it. I didn't really research anything on it. I did most of my research on the new one. So let's close that out. But we do have to say, respectively, former Pope Francis did pass away Easter Monday. Most of us have already heard that news. Maybe I'll get get back to that later.
Is that a sign that he passed away on Easter?
A sign of what?
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
That's it.
I'm not sure.
Who's the new Pope's name?
The new Pope. Never in the history of the Roman Catholic Church has there been an American Pope until now. Cardinal Robert Prevost is originally from Chicago and served as the head of the church's for bishops. Small print, I don't even know if I'm reading it right. He was elected to the successor to Pope Francis by the College of Cardinals Thursday, May 8th, 2025. He has chosen the papal name Pope Leo XIV.
So, what do you think of Pope? Do you think Pope is up there?
Up there as far as status?
Do you think
political
is
representation?
Is he?
What is XIV? What number is that?
That's 14.
14. Here we go. Yep.
I believe.
I ain't all.
Wait. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, it's 14.
Yeah, it's 14.
XIV is 14. Roman numerals up in here.
So it's like.
Once again.
Do you think a pope is more on
church and state type thing?
How am I trying to get at without being too
remember, we got to be respectful up in here.
There's certain individuals that are for humanity, some that are against humanity. Do you think a pope is more?
The pope is supposed to be good.
Supposed
right?
to. Is it actually though? Or is it just a fake?
But once again, we know a lot about the corruption they say and the conspiracies.
Is the Pope...
For centuries, let me read this.
Go.
For centuries, the Catholic Church has venerated men and women who lived exemplary lives of faith and holiness. These are the saints, and they are usually declared by the popes through a process called canonization. I don't know if... Yeah. So...
Well, let's be honest. Neither of us know enough about this to really comment on it.
Nah.
And that's just... But just
and obviously, Holy Father is a term, an honorary term used for popes. And once again, this new pope, I have a few notes on him. To answer your question, yes, he is from Chicago. I mean, is originally from Chicago.
Is he really, though? No.
Here we go. He was elected to be the successor. I already mentioned that. Leo XIV is seen as a progressive on many social issues, but conservative on church doctrine. He opposes ordaining women as deacons. For example, overall, many view him as a centrist. What are your thoughts on that?
I was feeling
So anti, women being deacons and certain things.
Yeah.
Right. So that that's the thing in the church. Like not necessarily, in church, like there's still debate on who biblically and who's supposed to hold certain titles.
You want to get into that conversation or
Not really.
All right.
Not really. Just throwing that out there for some controversy. Like Pope Francis, Pope Leo XIV spent time embracing marginalized groups such as the poor. He has spent much of his time serving in Peru and holds nationality in both the U.S. and Peru. What are your thoughts on that?
Pope Francis was from Peru?
Like Pope Francis, it was saying this new pope spent time embracing marginalized groups. No, I don't know. Nah. That's just the first sentence I said. I'm just reading from certain sources, skimming some articles.
I don't know. The Pope has nothing to do with me and what goes on, and I don't know. I'm clueless.
So
I don't really have a reaction.
Sources say the kind of style he will bring to the is it papacy? I don't want to mispronounce that. Is it papacy? So the papacy would be calm, steady, very direct kind of guidance. They're saying he won't deviate much from Pope Francis' work, but once again, it's a whole new person. Who knows? His choice of Leo 14 is significant, going back to the last Pope Leo XIII or 111, who was in
13, I believe.
13, right? Who was in the last century and was very important in terms of social justice and workers' rights. Said, sources say. I'm just say sources say. We don't. Want
How would you feel if it was a black pope? Would you feel any better?
Not necessarily.
You don't feel any type of way?
I don't know. Not really.
Okay.
When it comes to the Catholic social thought and the significance of his name, Pope Leo XIV is said to have a focus on economic justice, the common good, human dignity, and even the environment. Just some things I'm reading.
Yeah.
Any comments on that?
Nah.
All right, so we can move on from the Pope. Is it proper for me to say congratulations, or who knows?
Sure.
Who knows? So shout out to the I don't know. Who knows? So yeah, new Pope, first American Pope in history, respectively. We're gonna leave that.
We'll see if he's the last.
I wanted to get in what he said, right? I wanted to get into this gorilla versus 100 men talk.
Here we go.
I wanted to get into that gorilla versus 100 men talk. Obviously, the internet has been hearing about that gorilla versus 100 men talk.
We've all
Who would
heard
win? Once again, I don't even know the context. Like whether are the 100 men allowed to use guns? Are they allowed to use swords? Are they allowed to use knives?
Is it 100 like NFL players?
Is it 100 bodybuilders?
Is it 100?
Is it 100
like
hockey players? Right.
Is it 100 just like
either way?
dweebs? Like
either way.
Is the gorilla like?
My money is on the gorilla. If there's no guns involved, my money is on the gorilla.
So let's just say the 100 men are just a random. Let's just say I don't know they're in the mix. There's like 2 NFL players.
28-minute mark.
There's 20 random small dudes, whatever. Let's just say a bunch of random men. Let's just say like a train, like a full subway train. I don't know.
Right.
You're picking the gorilla.
If it's 100 shacks, are you still 100 shacks?
I'm gonna need you.
Which there's not many.
Well, another thing we got to think about is like, is it like a life or death? Like or are we just locked in a cage? Like how does it? I think let's just say it's a cage fight.
Right. I'm gonna go gorilla.
Elaborate.
If it's a cage fight, first of all, you would have to have a big enough cage to fit 100 men.
Let's just go there. Cage, 1 gorilla, 100 men. Fight to the death.
100 men can strategically actually have a chance. It's just a very low chance. And the reason why I say this, if you're in a cage environment with 100 men and a gorilla, the 100 men can climb the cage, which gorillas can climb better than any man can climb, right? Yeah. But it is kind of strategic for the 100 men to like they can punch from different areas, and the gorilla kind of got to move around. But like I said, my money is on the gorilla.
Well,
My
it's a
money's on the gorilla.
silverback, and they
King Kong, right? But that's
King Kong. Supposedly they can bench up to like 4,000 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Swole as fuck.
Yep.
Excuse my language. Excuse my French.
Yep. Might have to bleep that out.
So I was thinking about this, and my initial reaction was the men would win.
Okay.
But the more I think about it, the more I hear people talk about this, I think I'm shifting towards the gorilla.
Let me go ahead and read this right here. I Googled gorilla strength just to see what pop up, or binged it. Gorillas are incredibly
Bing.
strong animals with their
He
strength
uses
estimated.
Bing. Audience,
I binged it.
this guy uses Bing
I binged
for
it.
everything.
I binged it.
He
As I'm
uses
sitting with
Google
this,
for
as
Bing.
I'm sitting here with this Mac computer. Here we go. Gorillas are incredibly strong animals with their strength estimated to be 4 to 27 times their body weight. An adult male mountain gorilla can weigh around 400 pounds, allowing them to lift approximately 1,800 pounds. Their punch strength is also remarkable, ranging from 1,300 to 2,700 pounds per square inch, making them 49 times stronger than humans. Overall, gorillas possess immense upper body strength, which contributes to their powerful physical capabilities. So you still... Now, here's the key word. We're putting in the numbers. 49 times stronger than humans. So 100 men might mathematically be bigger than the 49 times if it's one gorilla.
Yeah.
Right? But once again...
Well, how many men could assault the gorilla at the same time?
Yeah, but once again, the gorilla can kill the man in probably one punch. Right?
Yeah, but I feel like...
Let me tell you why I see the gorilla. Because let's say there's 100 men on some Sparta type stuff. We're not asking whether they have a shield. We're not asking whether they have spears.
No weapons.
We're saying no weapons.
No weapons.
We're saying just man to man.
Right.
The first 10 men, one kick, the inertia or what is it, whatever, right? To my science individuals. One kick can still take probably 5 to 10 men flying backwards. So it doesn't really take...
one swing of the arm will
One
just
swing of the
knock,
arm is 10 men.
Yeah.
One swing of the right arm is another 15. One kick is another 15 to 20 men. So, based on their strength, if 10 men are in front of the gorilla and 10 are behind him,
so
one kick is taking out that
So
person.
you're gonna go with the gorilla route.
I'm going with the gorilla.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate from yours, and from sheer, I feel like from sheer will and from a perspective of the men, most of them are gonna die, but I feel like eventually they will kind of wear out and eventually defeat the gorilla over the course of, I'd say like 87 of them are gonna die.
Right.
But over that time, they're gonna wear out that gorilla and eventually defeat him.
I'm standing on the gorilla right now.
Because once the first 10 men die, that's when the humans will be like, oh, we got to get it together and figure something out.
Right.
They'll discover a weakness.
We're at the 33-minute mark.
They'll discover something. They'll make sacrifices. Humanity has a knack for wiggling its way out of things and surviving when things get tough.
Okay.
So I think you can figure it out.
Yeah, my initial stance was that too. And I rock with that. So 7 p.m. in Brooklyn, according to Carmelo Anthony's podcast, obviously, talk a lot about NBA, so we feeding off a little bit. His money is on the gorilla.
Okay.
Just shouting that out.
Okay.
He said that one gorilla would beat the out of those 100 men. So I'm gonna go ahead and agree with Melo on this.
Well, if it's 100 Melos, I would think so too. But
he said he knocking 6 out at one time.
Well, it depends. What you mean, like we're kind of rolling the dice on what 100 men.
Right.
Like we're imagining we get
once again. You know what I mean? That's
yeah.
I'm gonna put my money on the gorilla right now. Let's move on. Eric, you got any?
No, that's that.
You know, that's the
I'm fine
internet
with
talk.
that.
So we got to
You're
touch on
going
that.
gorilla.
We
I'm
gotta
going
touch on
human.
that.
We got there's arguments.
I wanted to talk about Jason Whitlock's comment on centers. Did you? First of all, let's give some background on Jason Whitlock. Let's give some background on Jason Whitlock because there's a lot of folks who might not know who he is. So this might come straight off of Wiki. Forgive me. But he's an American sports columnist, sports commentator. Former American sports columnist who currently hosts a program for the conservative media company, Blaze Media, titled Fearless, with Jason Whitlock. He's been seen on AOL Sports, Fox Sports, ESPN. We can go on and on and on.
Yeah.
Let me not Wikipedia too much. So Jason Whitlock made a comment on Sinners. He made quite a few comments on Sinners, and as opposed to how I felt about it, he was almost in the opposite of directions. Said Sinners was the most nakedly racist movie he had seen.
The most nakedly?
That's what news sources. Jason Whitlock said Sinners was the most nakedly racist movie he has seen. Right, so you got to put the naked in proper context. And I wrote some notes on this. Let me go ahead and pull my notes out so we can. Jason Whitlock. Jason Whitlock has taken a strong stance against the film Sinners, directed by Ron Coogler, calling it racially divisive and accusing it of pushing a harmful narrative. He believes the movie has an explicit theme about white people being the ultimate evil, and he noticed a large number of young people watching it in theaters. So, how do you feel about that?
So, going into the film, obviously, we both watched the film. I chose going into it not to look at it from that perspective, because I do think there is a viewpoint to look at it of if you just don't think about kind of. I was choosing not to look at it from the racial perspective. I was choosing to look at it from. I just didn't want to do that. But I think.
Respect that.
But it's you kind of, at the same time you kind of can't ignore it. I think there definitely is like a racial theme in that film. Like why did they specifically choose the three vampires, the three demonic entities, the antagonists of the film to be your European men and women, while all of the protagonists were quote unquote minorities, with the black folk and the Asian folk.
So I'm gonna probably let you see this right here.
Okay.
Well, no, I don't wanna. And see if you respect me saying something like that out loud. Can you read that? Not in your head first. Say you can say no or say yes.
Say it. Yeah.
Nah. We gonna chill. Nah.
You know we're going into a divisive subject.
Nah. I'm gonna chill on that one specifically. So let me I'm gonna say no on this because
what are your thoughts on his comments?
This is my show. My thoughts on his comments. I can understand how he pulled that from the movie. Let me go ahead and get into my notes. Jason Whitlock has taken a strong stance against Sinners, the latest film, accusing it of pushing a harmful narrative. The sports commentator accused the film of promoting an anti-white agenda. This movie is not intended to scare you, in my opinion, Whitlock stated. The movie has an explicit agenda-themed narrative, and we've seen it over and over. They all beat the same drum. These evil white people and what they've done to black folks, or what they've done to black people. He brought up Get Out and other movies. This is what they're feeding young people, he repeated, warning that the messaging is having real-world consequences. He referenced the recent killing of Austin Metcalf, a white teen allegedly stabbed by a black classmate, Carmelo Anthony, ironically, right? I didn't want to touch on that subject, really, but once again, he brought that into the discussion on Sinners during a high school event. The tragic incident has sparked heated online discussions about race. I'm not going to go there right now. He suggested that stories like Sinners are fueling the kind of division that can have devastating impacts. And I got a few more notes. Obviously, he saw the movie on a Monday, saying he had work the next day, but he was saying how a lot of young folks were in the audience and, assuming they had somewhere to go on Tuesday as well. He watched the movie at 10 p.m. So we watched it on a Saturday, just, FYI. But once again, according to Whitlock, he watched the movie on Monday night with work the next day, and he had a whole bunch of folks there. There was a whole bunch of folks there as well. According to Whitlock, movies like this, as well as Get Out, once again, beat the same drum. Hold on. This is what they're feeding young people, and it's working. It's generating millions of dollars. Jason criticized Sinners for having no consistent storyline, and he made, quite a few comments on that. So that's just the gist of what he's saying. Once again, I feel like he does have a point, and I really do feel like I feel like he does have a point, honestly. But once again, I enjoyed the movie, so I thought it was a good movie, and I wanted to get further in my analysis of it, but I only want to keep this really, really short and sweet. There's some specific things that I did not touch on in the warm-up episode that I could have touched on, but once again, it wasn't strictly about the movie. Might break that down later on. But once again, the vampires initially were respectively, Caucasian, right? And so there was not. So I understand where he's going, but I'm gonna just leave that where that's at. Any further comments on you from your perspective?
Yeah, he's got a point.
Okay. Now, post 10 plus days, probably what, 12, 13? I'm not even gonna count. It's been a couple weeks, whatever. Do you still feel it was a good movie? Do you still think it was favorable? Hearing like the commotion and the aftermath of it?
I'm gonna say, given today's movies and what is released and what we're fed, compared to all other movies that are out, I'd say it was overall favorable.
Okay.
I give it. I liked that it was. It didn't just spoon feed you everything. You gotta. It doesn't just tell you everything. You gotta kind of look into it a little bit. There's stuff that lingers about it.
Right. So what stood out about Jason Whitlock's comments in my mind? Obviously, racially divisive, young people, explicit agenda. These are all, things that were stated. So do you think there was an explicit agenda?
These
right, 41-minute mark. 42. Okay, my fault. I'm trying to cut you off. I'll put you on the spot with that one. You don't have to say yes or no.
You did put me on the spot with this one.
I'll put you on the spot.
I think there's definitely some race stuff going on here.
Right. I would agree.
And I'll leave it at that.
I'm gonna leave it at that too. I wanted to bring this up. I don't know why. I'm gonna just bring this up. Cole's fired a new CEO. And the reason why I'm bringing this up pops up in my news feed. I have made some Kohl's purchases. I got some Sonoma boots, some gym shorts, a few crew necks, whatever from the spot.
So the Kohl's CEO got fired?
Kohl's CEO fired for steering business to a person with whom he had a relationship, retailer says. An investigation by an outside law firm that Ashley Buchanan had not discussed the relationship as required by company policy. So that's sources say. I'm not going to say who. Kohl's CEO Ashley Buchanan was fired this week because he had an undisclosed personal relationship with a vendor.
Hold on. He was a CEO?
He was a CEO.
Who fires a CEO? The owner?
I guess the company. or whoever.
Is it a
right?
collective, who?
Well, I don't know all the details.
The chief executive operator, right? That's what
yes.
it stands for. So the owner of Kohl's must have.
Kohl's said it has terminated its new CEO, Ashley Buchanan, after an investigation determined that he directed the retailer to engage in vendor transactions that involved undisclosed conflicts of interest. Kohl's named chairman, Michael Bender, as interim CEO, effective immediately. So is that the new chairman? Allegedly, he was having an affair, right? So that's the gist of it. And so
all right.
And so he was sharing information with that individual.
So what does this do for you? Does this move the needle in any way?
No, it's just interesting to point out.
That a CEO got fired?
It's interesting to point out because, I don't know. Once again, every now and then I find myself in that department store. So I just said, yeah, you know what? Let me go ahead and speak on this a little bit. Let me, a few more notes. Hold on. Let me point this out. The regulatory filing said Buchanan did not disclose the relationship as required under company policy. Keep that in mind. And he will have to forfeit all equity awards and bonuses he received from Kohl's when he was hired. He also will have to reimburse the company on a prorated basis for a $2.5 million signing bonus. Coles did not disclose who the consulting agreement was with, but the Wall Street Journal, which was first to report Buchanan had been fired, said it was Boston Consulting Group, where Buchanan's romantic partner, I'm not going to say her name, was an advisor. The journal report cited unnamed people familiar with the matter. So, my words, sources say the firing had nothing to do with the company's performance and did not involve other employees. Buchanan had only been in the position, I believe, since January of 2025 or something. They didn't. That's hopefully that's not inaccurate information. If it is, forgive me. I was like, whoa. If this information is legit, that's a difficult situation. That reimbursement part really hit me. OMG. LOL, respectively. Allegedly, the romantic partner of Buchanan wasn't even structuring the Coles project or negotiating any contract terms. Interesting situation right there. And since I moderately take some interest in shopping at Kohl's, couple products, whatever. I just felt the need to bring that up. Yeah, interesting situation. But that reimbursement thing is what really had me. Like that, $2.5 million reimbursement. How's that gonna work? Like, who is this dude? Respectively, how much money does he have? I mean, once again, maybe I shouldn't be touching on this because I don't know enough information on it. But yeah. Might leave that where that's at.
Let's leave it where it's at.
Yeah. It says he was CEO from January to May 2025. A remarkably short time. So that's a short time.
How old was this person?
Born 1974. So what would that make him now?
Like 50 something. 51.
74 birth date. To my math, folks. Whatever that means, where it's not stating all his age, information, all that. So we got 2025, 1974. I don't know, it's about his birthday, so he's 50, 51. You should be.
Where's he from?
Where's he from? Mount Pleasant, Texas.
Texas.
Yep. Alma mater. Baylor University. Shout out to Baylor. Allegedly, he was on the Division I tennis team. Your brother plays tennis? Or played tennis. Just shouting that out. Yeah, we can move on from this.
Yeah.
We're at the 47-minute mark. So, once again, anything you want to state right now, feel free to state. I was just gonna throw that in there. We can get back to some of the hoops, but I want to kind of go outside of it for a minute. I wanted to touch on some Malia Obama controversy.
Fill me in.
For those that do not know, obviously Malia Obama is the president of. The daughter of former President Barack Obama.
Allegedly.
And former First Lady Michelle Obama. I think this is the oldest one.
Older one.
I believe. Let's make sure we have that correct. Yes, sir. Hold on. Yeah, she's the oldest, obviously. So,
what did you hear?
What I heard is that she is being accused of stealing from someone who she participated in a Sundance Film Festival with. Let me go ahead and bring
stealing
material for her Nike ad, which featured Asia Wilson. Those that don't know who Asia Wilson is, to my living under a rock groups. Nah, I'm just playing.
Like me? I don't know who that is.
Asia Wilson is an American professional basketball player for the Las Vegas Aces.
Do you want to hear my conspiracy?
Of the WNBA. What's your conspiracy?
Do you think that the NBA and the WNBA are gonna try to fuse them?
And say that the males can play with the females?
Right.
I don't see why.
Well, do you see how the rules are? How you can
that.
barely touching them is a foul.
Right. For some reason, it got really, really quiet, and I'm just like...
Was that the worst take of all time?
What you just said?
Yeah.
Nah. Yeah.
There's been worse.
Yeah. Nah, there's been worse than that. But once again, that's something NBA players would probably laugh at. You know, they're always criticizing play. Speaking of that, she was saying she would beat one of these NBA players. I don't remember who it was.
So what do you if they were to put you in the WNBA?
I'd get
What would
destroyed
happen?
at this stage. I get destroyed right now because I don't practice. So in the 3-point contest, I can hold my own. But I really don't, you know, right now I wouldn't be overly confident. Skill set wise at one point, right? But once again, what I keep saying is you got to keep it up. You got to keep it up. So for some reason, I'm not finding
But
my
like,
notes on
if
this.
Jokic were to play in a WNBA
Oh,
game,
he would destroy.
he would get like 200 points.
He would destroy. He would put up Wilt numbers on steroids. If he's doing that almost against the dudes. So it'd be even worse against
Like
the women, respectively.
all respect to the ladies, but
Right, there's no
let's
disrespect.
just keep it a buck. That's what would happen.
Let me bring these notes up. Malia Obama accused of imitating indie filmmaker and Nike ad. An indie filmmaker claimed the Malia Obama directed Nike ad is shockingly similar to her own work. Taking to social media, Natalie Jasmine Harris accused the former White House resident of using her short film for inspiration in the campaign created to highlight Asia Wilson in her new signature shoe in the empowering commercial. On social media, Harris asserted that the social edit of the advert mimics her short film Grace, which was screened at the Sundance Film Festival in 2024, the same year Obama was at the event. And I'm hella not reading this all that great.
So they're accusing Obama of stealing.
I
I
want to mention that she goes by, her stage name is Malia Ann. She doesn't really, use the Obama. She wasn't for long. She was going by Malia Ann. What's your comments on that? You have any to deviate? Just, I just want to point that out.
I haven't seen
since,
it.
the news is saying Obama. She uses her middle name. I just want to mention that. Let me give a quote from the person, respectively, Natalie Jasmine Harris. On social media, she asserted that the social edit of the advert mimics her short film Grace, obviously. Quote directly from her.
Do you see the film?
I did not, but I want to check it out.
You actually want to watch it?
Well, once again, I don't want to. It's in the LGBT kind of thing going on. I don't want to. I don't want to highlight. I didn't want to highlight that right now.
I don't want to highlight that either.
But once again, I wanted to talk on this subject because I found it very interesting because I did see the trailer and the Grace trailer, and I did see the Nike ad commercial. Obviously, because I read the article, not because I knew of those things before it. Been sitting with this for a while. My Sundance short film Grace was made with deep love and care, explained Harris on X, formerly Twitter. The social cutout of the Nike ad commercial directed by Malia Obama, who was also at Sundance my year, parentheses.
How did Malia Obama get to be a
feels
director?
shockingly similar to my work. Hold on. She continued in a follow-up post. I know art often overlaps, but moments like this hit hard when you've poured your heart into telling stories with care and barely get the recognition you deserve. If brands want a certain look, why not hire from the source instead of for the name recognition? Added tags for Nike and the WNBA star. I don't have much else to say besides that this is quite disheartening and disappointing. I'm constantly posting about how difficult it is to be an emerging filmmaker right now and sustain myself without benefiting from family connections, generational wealth, or nepotism. And then to see this just really gives me even less hope that the industry wants me to be here.
All right,
in my own words.
I have some thoughts.
Go ahead.
So this is the director.
Talking, yeah. Yep.
I think it's a girl, right?
Or not the director, I think it's a writer.
Whatever's going on. If you are a great artist,
yeah,
you can overcome some stuff like this. You don't
filmmaker. We're just gonna call
you
it
don't
filmmaker.
have this attitude of they're stealing my
indie filmmaker. That's what we're going.
She should be grateful that Obama's taken her stuff. Because
now it highlights what hers is. Yeah, she does.
If you're a great artist, you can overcome this and create something better than before.
Okay. I said something in my own words. I said I can definitely see the resemblance between the Malia Ann Nike ad and Harris's Grace trailer. I respect her viewpoint on this, and it is interesting that her and Malia and Obama, respectively, were at 2024 Sundance Film Festival together. I'm not 100% sure on where I stand on this, though. I'm going to move on. Just wanted to bring this up. I'm not moving on just yet. Those are my notes. I did see both the ad and the trailer or whatever, right? And I'm like, I do
Did you?
see what Harris was talking about. There were some similarities, and we definitely know that the resemblance is there. But I am sure that Malia did see, the snippet of Grace, or she's seen some of that. I mean, she had to have seen that, right? I don't know if she saw the whole movie, but there is some resemblance there.
I mean, would this be the first time an Obama stole from
Here we
someone
go.
else?
Here we go. You see, we're not going there right now. But we're not going there right now. But once again, I did want to bring that up. I did want to highlight that because it is somewhat basketball related. Asia Wilson, right? I don't know exactly what my stance on that is. I wanted to touch on it. I definitely wanted to touch on it. Because once again, I did see a little bit of swarm and things like that have Malia's name attached to it, respectively. So it's kind of like, obviously the daughter of a president being interesting in making film is interesting to me. Which is a totally random statement. But once I know more information, I'll probably give my take on that. Right now, it's kind of up in the air. We're at the 56-minute mark.
Okay.
So now we really gotta.
It's going by.
We're gonna
fast.
have to skip. It's
going by fast.
It is going by quick today. I don't know why. We did see that Wolves in Golden State game. Wolves annihilated. Yeah. I want to get into this. I want to get into. Do I want to hit Barkley first? Let's go to the negative stuff first. Gilbert Arenas slams Barkley. Did you want to get back to the NBA? No, let's
really.
leave that. Let's leave that.
I don't really want to do any more NBA.
Let's mention Pop. We got to mention Pop.
Who?
Greg Popovich.
Okay, let's mention that.
Let's mention Pop
real
and then
quick.
Let's deviate. Greg Popovich did suffer a stroke this, I think early this year, which I didn't even really hear about all that much. I might have heard about it. Greg Popovich, head coach of the San Antonio Spurs, stepped down, and he is now going to be head of basketball operations. So congratulations to Greg Popovich on that. That's part of why I got the Spurs snapback on. Yes. I'm not a crazy Spurs fan. I did buy this hat like 4 years ago at like a outlet, Castle Rock, something like that. And it was on sale. And once again, I like the color black. So I'm not a crazy Spurs fan. I'll go ahead and tell the audience that. But once again, Greg Popovich is the winningest coach. Everybody respects, his greatness.
For the Spurs, or is that all time?
That's all time.
He's the all-time winningest coach.
He's the all-time winningest coach
in NBA history.
Yes.
And that's all on the Spurs, isn't it?
I think it's all on Spurs. Is it? Yeah, it should be all on Spurs. I want to back it up.
Let me fact check that.
Let's fact check it. He is the winningest coach. Greg Popovich, the winningest coach in NBA history, stepped down as the head coach of the San Antonio Spurs. He will now transition to solely president of basketball operations with the Spurs.
Yeah, he's 6'3", played.
I skimmed through a couple articles. The 76-year-old can still laugh at himself. Those who know the San Antonio Spurs legendary coach and executive best understand how important that is to a man who loves the joke, often at his own expense. So we had in the video, obviously he was supported by former players Manu Ginobili and Tim Duncan. And so he had a shirt that displayed El Jefe, which translates obviously to the boss. Thought that was all that was all cool. Fresh off stepping down as the Spurs head coach on Friday, Popovich had his first public appearance since April on Monday as the team introduced new coach Mitch Johnson. I'll have a new job. I just want to make sure everyone understands what the new job is. Popovich said as he unzipped his jacket, "I'm no longer a coach. I'm El Jefe." And so those that seen The Godfather, he kind of had a shirt that's kind of had his face on it. And I thought that was pretty cool. So, also on the back of the shirt was Senor Popovich, president of basketball ops, on display as he stood alongside fellow franchise icons Manu Ginobili, Tim Duncan, and David Robinson. since Timmy D and Ginobili were there, I kind of wanted to highlight a little bit about them. Obviously, Timmy D is, in my opinion, a top 10 player. Some say he's the best power forward of all time. 5-time NBA champ, 3-time Finals MVP, 2-time MVP, 15-time All-Star, 10-time All-NBA first team, 75th anniversary team. We can go on. Ginobili, 4-time NBA champ, 2-time All-Star, 08 Sixth Man of the Year. Number 20 retired by the Spurs. He also had his international career, EuroLeague career, which I don't want to go into all that right now, So shout out to those guys. Yeah. So what's your thoughts on Pop stepping down? Was it time?
Yeah. Sometimes
Yeah.
you got to know when it's time to play your
76.
course.
Right.
You can't be in it forever. Everything's ephemeral on this planet. Everyone's time has to end.
Okay.
Jordan's time had to end. Brady's time had to end. Name a great whatever.
29 seasons is a long time.
Name a great whatever. Your time's going to end. You might as well end it at kind of a high point in a way.
Okay.
Instead of just trying to milk it like some people.
Right. He was a college assistant coach as well, I'm looking at. He was a Spurs assistant for a minute. He was a Golden State assistant for a minute. Then he became the Spurs head coach in 1996.
Yeah.
So that's all. That's all great.
Sometimes it's just.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Are those wins counting his assistant coach too?
I don't know.
I'm not sure. I think those wins are counting head coach. It makes more sense, obviously, but that's interesting though. Yeah, he's been in the game a long, long time. So yeah, congrats to Pop. Most folks call him Coach Pop. Congrats to Pop on that. As I'm sitting with my San Antonio Spurs hat, right? We're close to that hour mark, and I don't know why this is going by. Yeah, we're about that hour and 2 minutes mark. I don't know why this is going by so quick. I feel like we just jumped through. I'm not even going to touch on all of what I wanted to touch on. So let me get straight to it. Any thoughts on Met Gala? Halle Berry's Met Gala outfit.
Satanic Ritual next.
Okay, yeah. She's not her, but everybody's kind of, I was looking through the photos, seeing the Met Gala. I just want to be a little hilarious on that. LeBron skipped Met Gala.
No.
LeBron skipped Met Gala. Hey, we're definitely gonna cut that out. Let's move. Nah. We ain't doing that. You took a trip to Detroit.
I did.
What was it about? Elaborate. Tell the audience.
So my kid sister, Ellie, graduated from University of Michigan, and she wanted me to go. So obviously, shout out to that. That's 4 years of grinding school and the whole experience.
All right.
The highs and lows, and so being away from home. So shout out to her for doing that.
Anything about Detroit? Okay.
So Detroit, I could feel like, obviously we live here in the Denver metro area.
Mm-hmm.
Being in that city,
mm-hmm.
and like being in this, first of all, being in this city for this amount of time,
okay.
and then going out over to Michigan, Ann Arbor, Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
Being in Detroit, I could just feel like a sort of like difference. Like
mm-hmm.
Detroit has a certain soul to it.
Okay.
That Colorado does not have. Like, there's a certain like historical factor when it comes to like the Motor City and like your Ford and your Chevrolets and even like the racism aspect to it. There's a reason why we've seen so many like great rappers come out of there, and
mm-hmm.
it's certain history.
Name me the great rap artist out of Detroit. I gotta put you on the spot.
I'm gonna say Black Milk.
The first choice I wanted, I was thinking you was gonna say
Black Milk, Danny Brown, Joe Budden.
All right.
Baby Tron.
The first choice I expected you to say.
And this some white dude Eminem.
That was the first choice I expected. Go ahead.
But
what about Big Sean? Did you mention Big Sean?
Big Sean.
He mentioned all the
Royce,
old folks.
the 5'9". Like,
he mentioned the old.
Well,
folks.
I knew that Eminem was too easy. I had to say something.
Nah,
else.
you didn't want to say Eminem.
So
Sean Don. Nah, I'm just playing. Big Sean. Shout out to Big Sean too. Since he's still around, right?
Yeah.
All those guys are still around, kind of, but
quote unquote. But
yeah.
we often think why is Colorado? There's nothing going on here with hip hop over here.
Okay.
Another, but something
Unless you
about
speak on
something about Detroit. I think that there's just more of a historical factor as to why
the Motor City.
why there is hip hop there.
Like what? Did you already say this? Did I already ask this? What was your favorite part about the trip? Or you can answer the first question.
My favorite part about the trip was that I would say going to kind of a more hood area.
Okay,
Seeing
what stood out?
all the shacks and all the ratchet houses broken down. There's a lot of abandoned facilities there
Okay.
that they literally just left. Imagine your warehouse at work, but they just left it.
Yeah.
And it's gone.
There's a lot of abandoned areas, and I just turned my mic up.
Abandoned warehouses, abandoned houses.
Right. Why is that?
Well, supposedly because of a lot of import cars, a lot of Ford factories, they just stopped making the cars there.
Why?
Because the import cars were cheaper, and they had to lay people off, and so people just left.
Mm-hmm.
And they were just it's not fully clear to me all the way, but that's kind of what I got from it.
Yep. Detroit, the Motor City. What did you like about Detroit? Did I already ask that? Am I asking kind of the same questions?
It felt one thing I liked that was the big difference about Detroit than Colorado. You notice in Colorado, there's a lot of new construction. Everything seems to be new.
Right.
The new buildings, new houses, new this, new that.
Yep.
There's just construction everywhere you go.
Right.
Detroit is already just there.
Mm-hmm.
There's not all this new stuff.
Okay.
Whatever you Detroit is just that. It just is what it is. It's kind of you could say in a way it's stagnant.
Mm-hmm.
But Colorado, it's I feel like Colorado is a place you go to retire.
Okay.
And die.
Okay. Well, why didn't do you see yourself leaving Colorado?
That's a good question.
Since we talked,
that's a good question.
We're getting a little off topic. We're gonna get back on topic.
That's a good question. On one hand, it's it's home.
Okay.
On the other hand, it's what is a quote from the Bible? You can't be a prophet in your own home.
Only in his own home is a prophet welcomes without honor or something.
Right. So yeah. So there is that at some point I do feel like I'm gonna have to get up, step.
If we're gonna mention the scriptures, we gotta mention.
Anyway, you asked me about the Detroit thing.
Yeah. If there's some questions that you want me to, okay, Mark 6, verse 4, and I didn't want to do this, but since he brought it up, only in his own hometown, among his relatives in his own household, is a prophet without honor. Once again, there's a lot of translations on that. Yeah, we Mark 6.
So
4.
well, let's move on.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say my interpretation is that is.
I didn't know that's the scripture you were using because there's a lot of scriptures about leaving home. You know what I mean? So that's just one of them. There's quite
basically
a few
you can't. What I kind of get from that is you can't really make it. In a way, you can't make it just in your backyard. You have to leave.
Interesting.
You have to leave.
Interesting.
Anyway, but
did Eminem leave Detroit? Did Big Sean leave Detroit?
He did. He's rooted there, but he had to go to LA to Dr. Dre. He had to go fly out. He had to go.
I guess we could count this as our hip hop, which we didn't even really touch on. This is my way of touching on hip hop. The Detroit. You mentioned Kanye. You didn't mention Kanye. Do you want to go into that?
Do you want to go into that?
Highly
divisive topics.
Whatever you want to.
Highly divisive.
I kind of want a couple more questions on the Detroit. Which
ask me.
How was the graduation ceremony? Did your parents like it? Did you like it?
It was boring.
Yeah, that's what I thought you was gonna say. So,
all respect to Michigan graduates.
How excited was your sister to see her family there? And congratulations to Ellie for graduating.
She was excited.
Was Henry there too? I couldn't name names.
Yeah, he was there.
Yeah, that's cool. What did your parents like the most? Did you ask them that?
I did not.
Okay.
I imagine they just liked everyone kind of just being there. and getting together.
Yep.
Seeing that that becomes rarer and rarer nowadays.
Okay. Did you see any good looking women or something like that? Just throw that out there.
That wasn't.
Obviously, that's
I
not why
wasn't.
you're there, right?
Yeah, no
I'm just being
comment really.
facetious.
Not like
That's fine. That's fine.
there wasn't anything that was like, oh my god, like
And I'm
I
googling
don't
Detroit
really have
rappers
any
for
like
a minute.
regrets.
We can get into that Kanye. So you want to wrap up your Detroit visit? Any hopefully I asked you some decent questions. I didn't, I'm not trying to dodge nothing. Any landmark, any favorite piece of land that you like specifically? Because I know you told me you like going to the hood.
Yeah.
But any specific place, downtown or somewhere that really stood out?
I think that I'm gonna say Henry Ford's kind of like stomping grounds. That's what kind of stood out to me. Like he
I
ran
like that.
the whole city.
I like that. As I'm googling rappers from Detroit, obviously we named some names. I'm hearing Big Sean, Bizarre. It says Big Sean. It says mainstream success. Bronze Nazareth. It says lyricist and producer.
I haven't
Right.
heard that.
Danny Brown. It says experimental sound. Um, a whole bunch of names that I don't even know. Elsai. You know who Elsai is?
He's in Slum. The Slum Village guys are
Yeah.
from there.
It says lyrical genius.
Jay Dilla. Well,
And
he's
it
not really a
says-
rapper. He's a producer.
Eminem, it says global superstar. I'm more interested in what's behind their names, like why they're using specific whatever. Yeah, go on and on and on and on and on. Kid Rock.
Jordan
Yeah, we go on and
Barham.
on.
It's like,
Yep, I was gonna mention that too. shout out to the OGs right now. All right, let's wrap that up. If you want to, we're at the 112-minute mark. If you want to bring up the Kanye situation, I don't really know too much about it, but you can touch on that.
we might have to cut it out. I'll bring it up. I'll talk about it.
Okay, keep it short. Can you keep it short? Like 10 minutes.
We can keep it 10 minutes.
All right.
So
go.
Kanye has released a song called "Hail Hitler."
Wow.
He supposedly is claiming himself to be he's a self-proclaimed Nazi now.
Is that all true?
Is
I don't know if I want to bring this
He's
up.
claiming. That's what I was saying. It's divisive territory.
Yeah, nah.
So we could switch on this.
Yeah,
I'm fine with
let's
that.
keep that short. Once again, we're probably I'm probably not gonna cut all this out, but I will be checking that song out. I want to move on from that.
That's fine.
Yeah, I want to move on from that. We don't want to get too crazy right now. We can wrap this up. We can go ahead and wrap this up.
I feel like I killed the vibe right there.
Nah, you didn't really kill the vibe. It's 1:13.
And there's two chicks kissing on the TV right there.
We got a couple 10 minutes, and we're watching the music video. This is Vivo, so that ain't Once again, I did want to get into the NBA a little bit, but that's boring.
Let's.
So you don't want the Gilbert Arenas comment right now?
I'm
Not
good on
really.
that.
I'm good on it
good
too.
on that.
I'm good. We're at the 113-minute mark, so we can just stall. We can just stall. I wanted to say that Knicks versus Celtics. I wanted to bring up that I saw game one and a little bit of game one and a little bit of game two. The Knicks go up 2-0. Game two, Jalen Brunson, 6 for 19 from the field, 2 of 9 from 3, 3 or 4 from free throw, 3 rebounds, 7 assists, 17 points. Karl Anthony Towns, aka Cat, 9-16 from the field, 3 of 3 from free throw, 17 rebounds, 1 assist, 21 points. Honorable mention for me was Mikal Bridges, 14 points. Josh Hart, 23 points. Boston, Jaylen Brown, 41 minutes, 20 points. Derek White, 40 minutes, 20 points. Jason Tatum went 5-19 from the field. I believe he had 13. I wanted to mention how when I saw game two, New York was behind almost the entire game.
And I thought we were
Jalen Brunson. Hold on. I'm just skimming over this because we didn't touch on it. Because we have to hit the NBA playoffs for real though. Jalen Brunson hit that 15-footer. They ended up going up, I believe, what was it? 87, 86. Brunson also hit 2 clutch free throws to give them the 91-90 lead over NYK. I like how they had a lot of undersized guards, undersized players guarding Karl Anthony Towns. And I'm like, he got to take advantage of that. So I saw 2 3-point plays from him early on, and not early on, but like, probably I believe first, whatever. And I thought that was cool how he was getting aggressive and they kept feeding him. That was cool. But once again, NYK looked like they were going to lose that game. And that's why I wanted to bring this up, too, because Boston was in control almost the entire game. NYK got the lead. They ended up winning the game by 1 point. So, yeah, we can close out on that. And I want to talk about Steph got injured. So Golden State.
For that Celtics series.
1-1 right now against the Timberwolves.
Boston's down 0-2.
Boston is down 0-2.
At this point, I'm still going with Boston.
Right, okay. Okay. So we got to touch on this. What's your stance on Timberwolves versus Golden State? Obviously, we know it's 1-1 now.
Golden State snagged them in game 1. Wake-up call.
Right.
Wolves are going to win 4 in a row.
So you got Wolves pretty much 4-1.
Yep.
Wow. All right.
Steph's out.
With Steph out, I'm sorry to say it, the Wolves win that series with Steph out.
Yep.
Yeah,
They're going to win 4 in a row.
I don't know about 4 in a row, but Wolves win that series if Steph does not return. Yeah. Wolves W right there. 116. We can wrap it up. I don't know what we want to say. I don't know if I want to give that as the quote of the day. Because that was very similar.
Quote of the day.
You want to just give that one?
Yeah.
That was very similar to last week. Or, not last week, but the one we already put out. That was already kind of old. I can accept failure. Everyone fails at something, but I can't accept not trying, which I say is the GOAT, Michael Jordan. 41.0 points per game, highest NBA final scoring average. All that's listed on the little calendar for May. Obviously, we got the Jordan calendar right here. So, 117. Feel free to mention anything you want to mention, to close out. I think I hit on most of a good amount of what I wanted to mention. Oh, yeah, I wanted to bring this up. TV and film workers are struggling to find jobs. I was supposed to feed that off of when I brought up the Malian situation. Do you have any comments on that? Then we can wrap it up.
I'm going to go ahead and say that to me, it seems like TV is kind of
fading away.
Everything is on streaming.
Yep.
I would say the majority of folks, from what I see, whether it's my parents or just kind of hearing rumblings, most folks nowadays get their content from Netflix, Amazon, HBO Max. They're not going to watch CBS, ABC, Channel 2, Fox 31.
Yep.
So I'm not surprised that hearing this comment.
Okay.
I'm not surprised hearing this.
The entertainment industry is struggling with a significant decline in production activity, impacting workers across the sector from actors to crew members. I recently, early this morning, just saw a video pop up, so I checked it out. Had a brother. Well, he was indigenous, but I think he went to college and everything, and he was getting involved in film and all that, and he was noticing how he was struggling to find work. So I might just cut that out, but he was struggling to find work. Let me see if in Hollywood it's kind of the industry has been through several shakeups in recent years with strikes, layoffs, runaway production, and other matters that impacted workers. Down 22% on-site location, on-site production, things of that sort. Overall, this is the exact dude I was talking about. This is the exact dude I'm talking about. Let me see if I can play this. Should I mention this dude's name?
Nah.
Nah, I'm not going to mention his name. I'm not going to mention his name.
I don't know about you.
Yeah.
We can call it.
We can call it.
Final thoughts?
Final thoughts. Final thoughts. New pope declared.
The new pope is here.
New pope is here. NBA playoffs, round 2. Gorilla versus 100 men. My money on the Gorilla.
The men.
Greg Pop stepping down as head coach, respectively. Head of basketball operations. Shout out to Greg Popovich. Shout out to the San Antonio Spurs organization. Once again, touched on a few more things. We're not gonna hit on everything, but that about wraps it up. Thank you for tuning in. This show went by really quick for some reason. It's gonna be definitely shorter than that last one. Thank you for tuning in. Final thoughts.
That's it.
That's it. Thank you. Uncoated Sugar. Peace.